Hello everybody, it's the Fat Boy back again with another F1 2021 My Team Career Mode episode here for the Russian Grand Prix here in Sochi. Um, for My Team Career Mode part 20 something, I can't really remember. I have to check the last episode. Oh wait, this is part 27. So anyway, here in the R&D charts, we are starting to move up the order. We're already starting to move up the midfield for the power unit, and in two races time, we are gonna be attending the Singapore Grand Prix, my home Grand Prix. But we're gonna be focusing on today's Grand Prix here in Russia, in the Sochi Autodrome. And for the aerodynamics upgrades, we're not doing that bad. We're actually starting to move up towards the top teams. So probably by the end of the Singapore Grand Prix, which is the next episode, probably we'll be starting to maybe try to get more podiums to have a good end to season 2. But we're but again, we're just gonna focus on this race, and we're just gonna spend as many R&D points as possible to get as many upgrades for a good start towards season 3. And not only that, we might have to take a grid penalty because we have a very worn ICE. So definitely, actually not might we not we might have a grid penalty. We will have a grid penalty. Probably a 22 place grid penalty, probably a 10 place grid penalty. It really depends when I changed at which point of time I changed the power unit. So I'm just gonna stick to the old power unit first. I'm just gonna use 6% one, the 6% one power unit just to conserve the freshness and the newness of the new ICE that we're gonna use for today's race. So definitely gonna be starting like further behind the order, probably at the back of the pack, probably at the back of the midfield, most likely. And not only that, I'm thinking of changing the energy store for today's race, so definitely we might be starting at the back of the grid. So now we head into qualifying. Before we get to anything, be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications in order not to miss any future uploads. So now we head into qualifying for our very first lap, going to the weigh-in skill for no reason. As we now head towards the final few right-handers, heading into the final right-hander using the slow in fast out principle because we're heading down the long straight. We don't get a very good exit on our second lap, but at least we managed to find 1.2 seconds lost in the first lap. So now we head into the final corner. We get a better exit, and that's a 1 minute 30.821, which puts us up to P6, just behind Carlos Sainz. And as we now head, before we head for our third lap in Q1, I've actually reduced the downforce by 1 click, so I'm gonna put it back where it belongs to get more cornering speed. So hopefully we can find more time. As we're now just below a tenth, now we're already up to 2.5 tenths, so you can see how much time we lost in the corners. So the car is more drivable, but at a loss of straight line speed as well. But this is a worthy sacrifice to make. As you now head towards our final lap, we head into second gear of the right-hander, but we do get quite a bit of wheel spin, and along with the steering input, that's gonna put us into the wall and give us rear wing damage. But thankfully, it wasn't front wing damage. If not, we'll be out of Q1 already. But thankfully, towards the end of the Q1 session, we are not out of Q1, so that's good. But we are not up to grips with the car around this track because we are way off Carlos Sainz's pace, more than 5 tenths of a second, 6 tenths to 7 tenths of a second to be more specific. So obviously, we're gonna have to find more pace heading into Q2. Um, I honestly thought that I'll be up like in the top 5 or maybe even top 6, like where Carlos Sainz is now, because we have quite good straight line speed. But not only that, our straight line speed is affected because of our one power unit, and I thought that right now would be the time to change it before we go on for our first lap in Q2. Mainly because the 66% one power unit didn't even do anything. Doesn't do that much. It contributes, but it doesn't contribute as much as a new power unit. So we're definitely gonna take a grid penalty. And since we changed it in between a qualifying session, most likely we're gonna be starting from the back of the grid, and we are just gonna do probably 1 to 2 laps. As we now head towards the final corner, as we now cross the line, it's gonna be a fastest lap. A fastest lap, a 1 minute 29.478, and that puts us up into pole position. But yes, we are gonna get the 22 place grid penalty, unfortunately, and Carlos Sainz is down in P13. So it actually turns out that I think I'm playing in the correct difficulty, but it's just that I didn't find that much time in the car or on the track. So most likely is my rustiness on this circuit, so that's why I was P12 or P13 earlier in Q1. So then as we head into Q3, since we are going to take a grid penalty and we're going to be starting at the back of the grid, I've decided to not qualify at all for Q3. I decided to not set a lap and we are going to be automatically in 10th, but we're going to be starting from 22nd place, so this is going to be a last to first challenge. So we can find as many places as possible. Hopefully we don't fight with the back markers a lot. So at this point I decided to change the energy store as well to get maximum ERS, since this track has a lot of straights and it's quite long as well. So hopefully we can probably get up to the points, but hopefully catch up to our teammate for today's race, and we'll see how it goes for today's Russian Grand Prix.
Welcome one and all to today's Grand Prix here in southern Russia. A beautiful location besides the Black Sea, and a race that has historically been dominated by the Silver Arrows. Mercedes have won here 6 times since the first race in 2014. Can someone else muscle in on that record here today? Built on the shores of the Black Sea, the Sochi Autodrome is a 3.6-mile tour around some of the venues built for the 2014 Winter Olympic Games. Close barriers may make overtakes more challenging, but with 56% of the lap taken absolutely flat out, we certainly won't be wanting for pure speed. A fitting arena then to do battle at the pinnacle of motorsport. It's just about time to go to the track for the beginning of the race, but before we do, Anthony Davidson, what types of strategy do you think we can expect for today's event?
Well, there's a lot that both the driver and the team have to keep in mind when going into a race. The tyres, fuel, energy recovery systems, the list goes on and on. But I think the key to today's victory will come down to the pit stop strategy. Come in too soon and you might find yourself needing more than one stop. Too late and you're putting yourself at a disadvantage by spending longer on worn tyres.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Young superstar Max Verstappen starts from pole position. Sergio Perez lines up alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Bottas, Pierre Gasly and Leclerc, Norris, Fernando Alonso, Ocon and Daniel Ricciardo, Russell, Sainz, Yuki Tsunoda and Giovinazzi, Stroll, Latifi, Daniel Ticktum and Guan Yu Zhou, Schwartzman, Mick Schumacher, Mazepin and the Black Mamba. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
Now, this is not going to be an easy race, mainly because that this track has a lot of straights, so it's really hard for me to catch up to those in the midfield, mainly because they have similar power unit performances like us. They have similar amounts of straight line speed. So if this track has like way more corners, like a street circuit for example, probably we can move up the pecking order, but unfortunately this track has very long straights, so I don't expect a very good run into turn 1, but we can always make the dive bomb into turn 2. So now we're just tampering with the strategy. I'm thinking of stretching the soft compounds by another lap. This is probably a bad move because our teammate might have to stretch his soft compound tires by 1 lap as well, so it's going to be on much more worn tires. Probably not, so we're just going to have to take a gamble for today's race, and we're going to underfuel the car by a bit. Now here come the 5 red lights for the Russian Grand Prix. It's a front row Red Bull lockout with Verstappen on pole position for today's race, and it's lights out and we're underway for this Russian Grand Prix. There's already a bit of movement at the back. Mick Schumacher, or should I say Nikita Mazepin, is on the inside line. We're right beside his teammate. Mick Schumacher is on the medium tires, but we can't find any way to get past the Haas, so the only possible solution is to go for the dive bomb down the inside into turn 3. We're making a bit of contact. There's a bit of contact there, and there's an end plate. There's an end plate flying across the track, and I think that's Nikita Mazepin's. End plate. Yes, it is. So he's gonna have a loss of downforce. In fact, a huge loss of downforce, and he's holding up his teammate Mick Schumacher is all the way at the back. So this is not a bad start to the race. We're already up to P18 within 2 corners as I tried to go for the move down the inside of Guan Yu Zhou, but we ran out of space, so I had to yield from the move. As we now head into the next right-hander, most of these corners are like 90 degrees, so pretty much like exit speed is really important. So as we now head into the next left-hander, we're gonna set ourselves up for the move down the inside of Guan Yu Zhou. We're gonna send it down the inside before the final back straight, and we managed to execute the move. And there's a small train of cars ahead of us because Lando Norris and Fernando Alonso are battling it out for position of P6, heading into the heavy braking zone of this right-hander. I don't know what turn this is, but as we now head into it, into the apex, we are right behind Stroll's gearbox. We do go wide at the apex of the next left-hander. And are we going to go for the dive bomb down the inside? Yes, we are. We managed to brake just about to go side by side with the Canadian. We're going side by side towards the end of the chicane. But we get a very horrible exit as Sergio Perez sets the fastest lap for this race. But it's only the first lap, so it isn't obviously going to be the best lap. As we now head into the final corner, we get a horrible exit. We didn't use the slowly fast stop principle. I just got very hasty because I wanted to move up the order to maybe score some points for the team. As now Stroll is going to go side by side. He got a better exit and is going to use his overtake mode. I'm going to use the overtake mode as well, as we're now trying to defend a position from the outside heading into turn 2. But the outside line into turn 2 is pretty much like a no bueno move, mainly because that the exit just like narrows due to that bump of that curb, I would say. That sausage curb you can see on the exit of turn 2. As we now head into turn 4, we are getting held up by the two Aston Martins. We are battling with cars that we're not even supposed to fight at all, so I decided to go for a reckless dive bomb on these two in frustration. Mainly because that I don't know why I'm like way off the pace, like Hamilton in Monaco 2021, where he was down in 7th place. So it's pretty much the similar situation for me as we now fast forward all the way to lap 5, 2 laps later, or 3 laps later I should say. So as you know, right behind our first teammate Daniel Ticktum, who raced for our team in the first half of season 1. As we now head into the next right-hander, we are trying to get a good exit, as a good exit. As you know, we have DRS using our ERS to our aid as well. As we're now trying to catch up to Daniel Ticktum, we're going to go down the inside or outside. We're going to go down the inside with the heavy braking, so we're going to brake much earlier. We're going to go side by side, heading into the right-hander, and we managed to execute the move. And that's P15 for us, as we're now sandwiched in between the two Alfa Romeos. And I think we're supposed to pit now, I believe. Yes, we are supposed to pit now according to the original strategy. But we're not, because I wanted to stretch the soft compound tires. At first I thought I would have the pace, but from the looks of things, I don't think so, because all the other drivers have really good straight line speed within their cars. So probably this might be a Grand Prix to forget, as there's Gasly, Fernando Alonso and Lewis Hamilton in the pit lane trying to change to their medium compound tires. There's Gasly in the Ferrari up ahead. And I'm sure he'll be impatiently trying to turn on the pit limiter before the exit, as now there's Fernando Alonso trying to accelerate as fast as possible out of the corner. As we now fast forward all the way to lap 6, this is where we're going to pit for today's race. We're still sandwiched in between the two Alfa Romeos all the way, and we're still up into P12, and there's a huge traffic jam. I wonder why, and it's the McLaren and the Ferrari battling again, and this time it's Daniel Ricciardo and Esteban Ocon. This time it's Alonso's and Norris's teammate battling it out. Is the McLarens and Alpines that are fighting each other for today's race, as we really get a horrible pit entry, and we're gonna lose a lot of time, mainly because we got held up. So I don't blame Ricciardo or Norris, Ricciardo or Ocon, because that's why we have racing in Formula 1, because we have to go side by side most of the time. As now we head into our pit box, into the medium compound tires, we get held up once again. And we should be out of the pit box right now. There we are, right behind Lance Stroll, and Nikita Mazepin is all the way at the back, trying to make up as much time as possible from his front wing change back in the first lap. And I think we compromised Carlos Sainz's race, and there he is heading into the pit entry right behind George Russell in the AlphaTauri. I think we might have compromised his race here. I think we shouldn't have tampered with the pit strategy. I think we should have stuck with the old strategy. There's Lando Norris changing into his medium compound tires, if I'm not wrong. Maybe it's the soft, maybe the medium, so I'm not sure. As there's everyone going past, there's everyone going past everyone in the pit lane, and there's Daniel Ticktum in his pit box, and here's our teammate Carlos Sainz. Our team is very slow in pit stops, usually like 2.6, 2.7, 2.8 seconds, really slow. And that is going to cost us a lot of time, as there's Carlos Sainz coming out of the pits. Is Yuki Tsunoda going to go for the undercut? Yes, he is, just about he makes the undercut on Carlos Sainz, and we are all the way behind in P19, behind Daniel Ticktum. So we're really starting to get held up, and Carlos Sainz gets undercut because of my selfish selfish actions. He could have been in the points, but again, due to my selfish actions, I'm obviously going to take full responsibility for our poor performance this season. I mean this race, not this season. Because we should have known that we are not going to make up any time since we are really slow on this track. So we're going to go trying to make up as many places as possible, as now we're going to make a bit of contact with the Alfa Romeo of our former teammate Daniel Ticktum. We are fighting with cars that we're not supposed to fight at all. We are fighting with Alfa Romeos and Aston Martins when we're supposed to be fighting the Alfa Tauris and the Ferraris. But unfortunately, this is going to be a Grand Prix to forget, most definitely, as now here's the two of them going side by side, heading into the right hander, and that's a green flag. I'm not sure why is there a racing incident. Oh yes, there is. Nicholas Latifi. Oh, he must have spun out most likely. So we're gonna look at the replay on his onboard camera. Here's Nicholas Latifi heading into turn 4, the apex, and I'm not sure. Oh, it's wheel spin. Nicholas Latifi suffered from wheel spin. I'm not sure why the AI is making all these basic mistakes that we should avoid. We should never have wheel spin at all, but I'm not sure why the AI is making these mistakes. We're now going to get DRS, and we're going to overtake these two drivers who had a very poor exit after going side by side for quite a long time. As now we head into the heavy braking zone, the right-hander, and there's a bit of contact between the Alfa Romeo Giovinazzi and Lance Stroll. Lance Stroll might have damage. He might box his lap. I think he has a chipped end plate. So oh yeah, he has a chip end plate. Look how much time he's losing to Giovinazzi. He's losing quite a lot of time, and then he goes into the pit box. So it's not a good day for Aston Martin, not a good day for Alfa Romeo, not a good day for me obviously, and Carlos Sainz. He's 2 places way behind the points, and we are up to P14. We are 2 places behind the Spaniard, our teammate. So obviously I thought we would be able to find more pace, but the other team's straight line speed is far greater than we expected. So this is obviously a huge mistake from me, stretching the compound tires by 1 more lap. As now we're gonna move further up into lap 10. We're gonna like trying to find as much time as possible to get within 1 second of Charles Leclerc. We are 9.5 tenths behind him, so we're gonna just about get DRS, and Carlos Sainz is not that far ahead. So now we're going to have DRS on Charles Leclerc. That's the rear wing open, as you can see. Heading down the final back straight, we are closing in the Ferrari. The Ferrari power unit is not as competitive as ours. As now we're going to head into the heavy braking zone. We're going to go for the dive bomb. Yes, we are. That's a horrible dive bomb, but I'm sure you can picture the braking zone of like how heavy we braked and all that. But I think I can't say whether we have the stronger power unit, because we had DRS, which gives us a oh, look at this, Fernando Alonso is out of the session. It must be a component failure, because there aren't any pile-ups or anything, and yes, he has a component failure. He's right there at the side of the track on the runoff, so there's obviously a component failure. Something wrong with the Alpine has gone on, and there's smoke coming from the back of Alonso's car, and he has to retire, unfortunately, with 2 laps to go. So not a good day for Alpine at all. Ocon in P8. Only 4 points if he keeps that position, and there goes us passing the El Plan Master. He doesn't really have a very good season, mainly because of DNFs and all that, but now we are heading into the final corner. This is going to be a very huge Grand Prix to forget, and I'm sure we can learn a few lessons from this race.
Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
Victory for the team from Milton Keynes then, after a quality performance. So Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
Well, time management probably played quite a large role in the outcome of this one. As ever, it's not just about speed, it's all about maintaining that speed consistently over a stint, over a race distance. So being able to keep up the lap times while still being smooth on the controls and gentle on the tyres, that's really where the race was won today.
Red Bull put up an outstanding fight for the front position today, and it's great to see it paid off for them. They do so much for the sport that you can't help but be delighted by today's race win.
Well, there's Sergio Perez taking another win in his career, with Verstappen in second and the flying Finn Valtteri Bottas into third. Hamilton is starting to fall off the pace quite a lot, so in Season 3 I don't expect him to be as huge of a threat as he was in season 1 and 2. So oh my goodness, it's that strategy change. I shouldn't have changed the strategy. Carlos Sainz could have got up to P10 or P9, and we could have been up to P11, so we could have scored like 2 to 4 points or 2 to 3 points if we weren't so selfish. But unfortunately, not all Grand Prix will go our way, and unfortunately this is the end of today's video. Hope you enjoyed. Be sure to like, subscribe and turn on notifications in order not to miss any future uploads. I'm the Fat Boy. Hopefully stay tuned for tomorrow's video in Singapore, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye. We head into the first apex, second apex. It was so clean that we gained so much time.